You're a business owner or an entrepreneur, these are the 5 systems you must have installed in your business to improve your chances of success and have a stress-free life. My name's Jeremy Jacobs. I'm an entrepreneur, business coach, and mentor, and I've been an entrepreneur for 18 years. And so when I talk about these 5 systems that you must have installed in your business, I really do know what I'm talking about. The thing is, there's a lot of people out there on YouTube, podcasting, on social media, talking about all these things that you should do or that you should stop doing. I'm not a fan of giving advice like that because I think it's really important for you to try out things yourself. It's good to take people's advice, but don't take everything that everyone always says as this is the way to do it. But this is the way to do it. I have worked with hundreds of business owners and I have spoken to hundreds of business owners about their businesses and what makes it tick, what makes them tick, what makes their businesses run smoothly. And this is the thing. The systems that we have installed in our business are the things that support us to make sure that we have the best chance of success. The chances of your business surviving past the first year is around 90% failure rate. So there's a 10% chance that you will survive. And that does improve over time. But the thing is, you really want to make sure that you set your business up for the best chance for success. And having these systems installed from the very beginning will improve those chances. I guarantee it. When I first started out my business, didn't really have all of these systems in place. They had some version of it, or they weren't really running very effectively. So I've learned over the 18 years that it's really important that they are in place. And I work with all of my clients to make sure that they are installed in their business. And I get that sometimes some people will get triggered with the word systems. They find it boring, laborious. Truth is, sometimes those systems can be boring and laborious, but so is brushing your teeth every morning or any other habit that you find a little bit of a pain in the backside. So stick around because I'm going to share those 5 systems, what they are, why they're important, some of the top tips and things that I believe you need to think about, and some of the systems and the software that I personally use to make sure that my business runs smoothly. One thing I will say before I start is the software and the systems and the tools that I talk about, they're just things that I like using. You don't have to use them. You can find your own version. So my suggestion is if you are going to follow this advice and you do get to the point where you think, do you know what, this isn't working for me, absolutely fine. Go and find something else. It's not a problem. So first system is your finances system. Seems the most obvious. And the reason that I say that first is because your finances and your money in your business is what is keeping your business alive. If you go out and you look on the internet and you go and Google top reasons why businesses fail, cash and finances is often at the number one. Think of it like this. Your business is like a car. And if you're going to go on a long journey, what do you need to put in your car? You need to put in fuel. Cash and money and finances are exactly the same thing for your business as they are to a car. If your business runs out of money, your business will cease operating, or you can go and borrow some money or get money from friends and family to keep it going. But the fact of the matter is, if your business runs out of money, you're done. So when you're thinking about your finances, and I get that a lot of people don't like numbers and they don't like finances, and it's something that they avoid. And you should have an accountant. I mean, most businesses, when they start, normally go and get an accountant, but I get that not everyone does. I've had people come to me with a business that they've been running for a year or two and they don't have an accountant yet. An accountant is absolutely critical to your business. They should actually be saving you more money than they cost you. And yes, they are there to manage your finances for you and help you manage your finances. But at the end of the day, unless you're going to pay them a lot of money, they're not actually going to really look at your finances in the detail that they need to be looked at. So get an accountant if you haven't already got one. Definitely have a separate business bank account if you don't have one already. That is also, for me, a non-negotiable. And then let me give you a little bit of background about finances and accountancy if you're not up to speed. But there are three financial reports or systems within your business that you may or may not actually be aware that are running. First one is your financial statement or your balance sheet. I'm not going to talk about that. That's something that my accountant deals with. I understand it. It's not something I look at on a regular basis, probably like once a quarter, couple of times a year. But that's because I have a service-based business and I have positive cash in my business. I have more assets than I have liabilities. So for the purposes of this conversation, park that one. But it's good just to know the three accounting reports that you exist and that you might want to look at. The second one is your profit and loss. Now, if you have an accountant, hopefully you should have some form of cloud-based accounting software. That might be Xero or QuickBooks, or depending on what country you live in. For example, in the UK, there is something called FreeAgent as well. And so those pieces of software will help you to manage your profit and loss account. So if you go into your cloud-based accounting software, you would find some form of a profit and loss account report, and that will show you on a very basic level your revenue or your income that's coming in, all of your outgoings, and then what is left over after you've paid your tax and any fees, anything like that. And then it will show by month or by year or by quarter, however you look at it, how much money you've made or lost in a month. So you can see whether or not your business is actually making a profit or it's making a loss. That's something that I look at probably a couple of times a month, maybe once a week, but I'm really all over my finances. You might look at it once a month. I wouldn't suggest looking at it any less than that. And the most important, I believe, financial system within your financial systems is your cash flow forecast. Now, I haven't met a client yet that's actually had and used a cash flow forecast before. A lot of those clients are in the very early stages of business. I didn't have one in my business probably about the first 4 or 5 years. And your cash flow forecast, I believe, is the most important out of those three. Something that I look at least once a week, if not more. I do have a free template that I have, which I can share if you want a copy of that. I've also done a short video which explains how it all works, and I'm not going to go into the details of how it works here. So if you do want a copy of that, then contact me on whatever platform you're watching or listening this to, and I can send you a copy. But the cash flow forecast will show you how your money is moving in and out of your bank account over time. So you could look at it monthly. The report will start at the month you're looking at. So let's say September, you have your bank balance at the top. Then what you'll have listed under that is all of your incoming that's going to come in from your clients and your customers, and then all of your outgoings. And then you'll have a final balance at the end of the month. And then in the next column, that balance at the bottom then moves up to the top, and that repeats for the next month, October, next month, November, December, and then you'll get to however far you need to go ahead. I have mine set for 18 months into the future. And what it will do over time, as long as all that information is correct, it will actually show you money that's going in and out each month, and then the balance. So if you are losing money on a monthly basis and you've got cash in your bank, you'll know when that cash is going to run out based on the income and the outgoings of your business over time. And that is so, so important to have, because if you look at that report, you can see when your money's going to run out. You might go, oh, thank God, I've got like 6 months or 9 months. Or you might look at it and go, oh, crap, I've only got a couple of months. What you can then do is start making some decisions about what to do in that situation. So you might look at cutting costs back. They go through your list of outgoings and think, do I really need that subscription? Or, oh, I'm paying that much to this networking group or whatever it is. And then you can start to cut back, and you'll actually, as you start taking those figures out of your cash flow forecast, you'll start to see that number move along, and you'll see that you have more time to play with before your money runs out. So it's not as complicated as it seems, I promise you. And as I said, I've got a template. If you want a copy, let me know. I can send you it completely free of charge, no obligation. And I explain how to set it up. Some of these online cloud-based accounting software programs do have this built in. You can use that, of course. Personally, I like to do mine manually. I don't have an awful lot of incoming and outcoming in comparison to my old business, where we had a lot of money going in and out and moving quite quickly. So it shouldn't be too complex. But the reason I ask my clients to actually at least start off doing it manually is they have to really get into the numbers and understand where everything's coming in and going out. And that's a really important skill. If I ever heard of an entrepreneur or a business coach or a mentor saying that a cash flow forecast isn't an important system in your business, well, I would suggest not working with them. So that's your finances. Hopefully, that's the most scary one out of the way. We'll see. So that's your finances. That's the first system. Hopefully, that's the scariest one out of the way. That's the one that seems to make people go, ugh, the most. The next one is your sales system and your CRM. So CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management System. If you are a solo entrepreneur or a solo business owner, then the chances are you are responsible for getting all of your sales, doing all your business development and your marketing. And if you're in a service-based industry, then you're going to be having probably a lot of complex and lengthy conversations with people, because if you're selling a product, people come along and they go, yes, I want to buy it, or no, I don't. If the product is expensive or complex, then that time that it will take them to actually purchase the product will be longer. But for service-based industries like mine, for example, coaching, people take a long time. It's rare. I have a couple of clients that have come along and gone, yeah, I really love what you do and I want to work with you. But sometimes it may take weeks, sometimes months, a couple of times years for someone to actually decide to buy. So it's really important you have a system in place to manage your sales conversations, your sales relationships. And that is what your CRM is for, your customer relationship management system. I use HubSpot. There are lots of others out there. There's Salesforce. I can't remember any off the top of my head that I know that other people use, but HubSpot, I believe, is probably one of the best systems because they have a free option. It's big and it's well known and it's global, and that means it's well integrated in with lots of other systems, and it's pretty easy to use once you get your grip, you get your hands around it and you get to grips with it. I am going to be doing a video at some point just talking through how I use HubSpot. So if you are interested in something like that, then make sure that you like and subscribe on whatever platform you're watching or you're listening to this on, because this goes out on podcast and on YouTube and on wherever else I decide to put it. So your CRM system, super important. Imagine you'll have, let's say, 25 leads. Okay. So a lead, if you're not familiar with what that term means, is someone who is interested potentially in working with you and your business and buying your products and services. And when they first make that contact, however that might be, whether they sign up to, you could argue, a newsletter, they send you an email, you meet them at a networking event, you have a conversation with them from somewhere, they drop you a message on social media, that person is a lead. They've expressed some form of interest in potentially working with you, and then they go into your CRM as a lead. Then you go on to the next step, which is then you would have a conversation with them and have a more detailed discussion to find out whether or not they are the right fit for you, whether or not your services are what they need right now. They may actually not be necessarily interested in working with you. They were just checking you out. There's lots of different reasons. But if they are someone who you think, yeah, they're really interested in, and I want to take this conversation further, then they move to what's called an opportunity, which is the next level up. So imagine you've got 25 leads and 25 opportunities. That's a lot of people to be talking to. So what a CRM system does is it allows you to put them in as a contact. You can put in all the information that you need about them, their email address, their telephone number, their web address, URL, social media links, whatever information you feel is important. And then you've got them logged as a lead or as an opportunity. And what HubSpot and most of these CRM systems allows you to do is to then actually log all of the conversations that you have with them or you don't have with them. So you can log calls, SMS, WhatsApp messages, emails, telephone calls. You might call them and leave a voicemail. You can do that. You might send an email, get no response. So not going to go into any more detail about it than that, but what that allows you to do is keep track of everything. Because if you imagine, if you had 50 people that you're talking to over a 6-month period and you're having all of these different conversations, it's very hard to keep track on what was said, when you last contacted them. A really lovely thing I love about HubSpot, and I'm sure you can do this in all other platforms, is you can put your entire contact list and just separate out just your leads and just your opportunities, because you'll have customers and people who've ghosted you and people who are not interested. You still might want to keep some of that data. What it'll allow you to do is separate them out and then order it based on the last time that you contacted them. So it's very easy to go into your CRM and see when you last contacted these people. And you can literally just go down that list and go, right, okay, well, I haven't spoken to them since June, them since July, then since August. So I'm going to contact the person who I haven't spoken to for the longest first, strike up another conversation. That makes my life a lot easier when I'm going to do my sales and business development work, usually once, if not twice a week, to contact people, check in, see how they're doing. So sales and CRM system, super important, especially if you're doing your own business development and sales. It's also good to get to grips with this at the start if you're in your early stages of your business, because when you bring in someone to do your sales and business development for you, they want to have some system like this already set up. If not, you're going to have to pay them to set it up for you. But also you're going to have to manage that person. You're going to have to manage them doing your sales and business development for you. You've got to understand that process so that you know what to look out for. What are the key metrics? What are the signs that they're doing a good job or not? And so the sooner you can get into that flow, the better. Third system is your time management. Now, this one is as simple as your diary. I'm still amazed at how I managed to run my business for so long without really using a calendar or a diary, and how people still continue to do it. I know how they continue to do it and how I did it. It's called winging it. And you can wing it, but the chances are something will go wrong. There's plenty of times in all of these systems that I've spoken about and I'm going to talk about where I have been winging it and managed to make it through okay, and then some problem happens, and then I go back and go, oh, I need that system. So relatively straightforward, but I assure you, most people, you might be watching this or listening to this thinking, yeah, that's me. No judgment, by the way. Is your calendar, how you manage your time. What are you doing with your time in the week? Probably most people will have some form of calendar, whether that's a paper calendar, Filofax, whatever they're called nowadays, in their purse, handbag, man bag. And then they'll have maybe an online calendar. For me, I use Google Calendar, love Google Calendar, even though I'm not a massive fan of Google at the moment. A whole other video podcast could be done about that one. But yeah, so Google Calendar is I really like it. Again, it's big, it integrates with everything. I can use it on my Mac, on my iPad, on my iPhone, on my Apple Watch. Yes, I'm an Apple fanboy. Although I did own an Android phone for about 15 years. So, don't come at me too hard, you Android lovers. But yeah, so Google Calendar is really, really useful because it integrates with everything. It works really well. I like how it works. You can color code everything, and it's very simple. And you can add it into your Apple Calendar or what are the other calendars you're using? I was going to say something for Android, but I'm assuming, use Google Calendar. Anyway, I get sidetracked. So yeah, it's super important for me to be able to track my time and know what I'm doing. I time block, so that is putting in blocks of time for specific tasks or types of tasks rather than putting in every single task. I have ADHD, and so it's really important for me to be able to use that system to help me manage my time and help me get a sense of, I've got X amount of hours in the week, just like everyone else. How am I going to use that time most effectively? You can set up reminders or repeating tasks. So, for example, with my sales and business development, my financial management systems, I have an hour set aside minimum in each week that is blocked out for me to do those tasks. And that just repeats every week. And as I go through and I do my calendar diary task management, I normally do mine on a Monday morning. I know some high performer billionaires do theirs on a Sunday night, but I do mine on a Monday morning. And I can just move stuff around. They're just little colorful blocks. I can just move them around. I can put something in. I can put in a time block. Oh, I've got to do some client work here. I've got to do some strategy work for my business here. I'm going to go out for a run at this time, and I know how long a run takes me. I'm going to go to the gym. This is an important point, is knowing how long things take. I know that if I go to the gym locally, it takes me 90 minutes to get in the car, to drive there. It's far enough away for me to drive, by the way, before you judge me. Get in the car, drive there, do my workout, come home, have a shower. About 90 minutes. I go for a run, whatever it is. When my partner's at work, walk the dog. So I know I have to walk the dogs in the morning. That takes me half an hour. Boom, 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 boom. Takes me half an hour to get ready. Yes, I actually put get ready in my diary, particularly if I'm going out for the day. That's really important. So I know that I've got the time. If I'm going for a meeting somewhere, that I put travel time in so I can block that out. Because if you are someone who wants to build a successful business and be a high performer, you are going to need to make sure that your time is well managed. If you've got a paper diary, please do yourself a favor more than anyone else and just get rid of it, or at least transition. I've got one client who looked at me in shock and horror when I suggested that she actually stop using her paper diary. I said, look, transition, just like test it out. And, a couple of things to say about that before I go on to the next system is, one is with all of this, actually just test and refine. Like, don't beat yourself up if it doesn't work or if something goes wrong. Just try it out and just use it slowly. It did take me a few months for me to, probably longer actually, to actually get my diary functioning the way I want. And now it's chef's kiss. It's working beautifully. The second thing is, please don't beat yourself up if you start, because I've had clients do this. You go in and you start doing your calendar and you block something out, and then something else comes up and you move it about and you get stressed out. Please don't do that. Please be kind with yourself, okay? And just give yourself a break. This isn't like you're carving your calendar into stone and it's set in stone. Absolutely not. Move stuff about as much as you need to, whilst also being honest with yourself about when you're just BSing yourself and thinking, oh, I'll move that and do that later. Because if you move stuff into next week, you just need to remember that next week you is going to be really annoyed with this past you when you start shoving stuff into its calendar. So just keep an eye on that. Fourth one is task management. Very aligned with time management, but I have a separate system for this. This is going to be your project management software, task management software, whatever you want to call it. If you've got a business that you work in project management, or you have a team and it's quite involved, then you might want to skip this part because you've probably got that down to a T. But solo entrepreneurs and business owners, or people that just don't have this in place already. Again, another critical system that, when I restarted another business and I got into it, I realized I hadn't set the system up. And for weeks, I was like really struggling to remember what to do. And then it suddenly clicked on me. I don't know why I didn't remember at the time. I was like, it's because you haven't got your task management system installed in your business. So I went and sorted that out, and I sat down and I got it sorted, and I did not like give up until I had made good headway with it. And then I had to take a break for a day and then come back to it. Again, another tip for you is make sure that you're taking breaks. If you're, implementing new systems, don't try and sit there and get it all done if it's too overwhelming, but do stick at it. So task management system, I use ClickUp. There are so many task management systems out there. ClickUp, Motion, Notion, Monday.com, Asana, Trello. I mean, those are the ones I can think of off the top of my head. And if you go and you type in task management system or anything like that onto Google, you just got this overwhelming tsunami of software. So first thing I'll say is it's so overwhelming. My thing about what I would suggest to you is pick something that works for you and stick with it. I like ClickUp because actually it is, from my research, and do your own, but from my research and my experience, it's the most, the positive is it's got a lot of features. The downside is it's got a lot of features. So it's not necessarily designed to be like you go on and you tell it a couple of things and it magically sorts everything out for you. I know that Motion and Notion, I think, are much better for that, but they don't have as many options in there. I'm an options man. I like all my options, and it did take me a little while to get sorted out. But irrespective of what system you're going to use, the process is the bit that's the important part, and that is making sure that you have all the tasks that you need to do logged in your task management system. Before I start that, I just want to mention something else actually, which is related to this, which is I have multiple systems in my one system, and that is I have a notepad on my desk, which I use to write notes on, and obviously it's a notepad, and to write down any thoughts, any random little tasks that come up or I might need to think about. And I really like having a piece of paper or multiple pieces of paper on my desk to handwrite, helps with my creative thinking. I then have my task management system, which is on my phone and is on my computer. And I also have the note apps as well, which we're going to come on to in a minute. But so you can see there's all these multiple systems, which might seem overwhelming, but everything in terms of my tasks comes into my task management app, which is ClickUp. And so what it does is enables me to capture tasks when I think of them, and then they're logged. If you've got ADHD like me, you may even not, you don't have to have ADHD to be like this, but you might be overwhelmed with the vast number of ideas and tasks that my head comes up with all the time. And it's absolutely essential for me to be able to capture that in what I call an existence system, which means essentially keeping things in existence, because I can sometimes think of something and try to think of it 5 seconds later and boom, it's gone. So really, really important for me. So get those tasks in there, and then it's about organizing those tasks into either projects or into areas of your business. I have a podcast, I have social media, I have my coaching practice, and then I've got another project I'm working on and another business I'm working on. So I've got all these different things. I put those into spaces within ClickUp. Again, I'm going to do another video on this when I'm going to talk you through how I use ClickUp. So make sure you're subscribing if you want to watch or listen to that. But once those tasks go in and then they're categorized into the relevant areas, then it's due date and priority as a minimum. Like there's lots of other options. You can do all sorts of stuff, but as a minimum, prioritize it and put a due date in. Now, priority, always put a priority in. Due date, open to interpretation as to whether or not you need a due date. If it's critical by a certain point or you want to get it done, then yeah, absolutely put a due date in. I do use my ClickUp in a way that means that I don't have to put the due date in, because I've got some which I use for like tasks or ideas or content that I might be doing in the future. It doesn't have a due date. I put it as a low priority. And then what's nice about ClickUp, and you can probably do this in every other piece of software, is you can go in and then you can take a view of all of your tasks across all of your projects, and you can order it by priority or by due date. And I like ordering it by priority because everything's got a priority, and then I know the things that are urgent are at the top. I know the things that are high are next, and medium or normal, I think it's called, and then low. And so I can see my tasks in terms of priority. And then if it's got a due date, obviously, then it's got a due date. It needs to be done by something. But to be honest with you, a lot of my tasks don't have due dates because they're just continuous things that I'm working on, and priority is more important than deadline. But if you do have a lot of deadlines, then obviously put those in. So that's task management system. And then the final system, number 5, is ideas management or ideas system. And this one's a bit of a bonus one. I actually added this into my critical systems recently, and it came to me as an idea. And that was because I was running around and I kept on thinking of all these ideas, and I'll have to log them somewhere. And so it's really important for me to have ideas and ways to capture ideas. And so I use, rather maybe confusingly, 2 more systems or tools to capture my ideas and thoughts and all those notes that I take around stuff. And that is OneNote and Apple's Note system, which comes with their software. And my Apple Notes I primarily use for capturing ideas around content. So I have a section for Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, podcast, LinkedIn, newsletter, and I could just really quickly go blah, 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 and it's just an idea that comes out, and I chuck it in there, and then I can go back and then later on go and look and go, oh yeah, I was thinking about that. And then I also have a more general section, and that I use that because it's the most accessible and easy to access on my phone and on my Mac. And then on my Mac, mostly I use OneNote, and that is more in-depth note taking. I do have a notepad on my desk, as I said, but I will often write notes down. They'll get transferred into a digital version. And again, those are all sectioned out by different projects or different areas of work or different things. So I have things like for sales and business development. I've even got an AI section where I put in my prompts that I come up with, different clients, and then the different aspects of business, because I work in coaching and also in paid search and Google Ads, helping people with that on the side of what else I do. So it's really important for me to be able to capture all of that and get those ideas written down. Those systems and how you do that is up to you. You might just be purely paper. If that works for you, great. If you're pure digital or you're a combination of the both, then cool beans, you know. One little bonus thing that I will add on to that is using the voice assistants on your phone and the digital technology. If you are fortunate enough to have a mobile phone or and also something like an Apple Watch. Now, I can only speak about Apple because I only have Apple. I haven't owned a Samsung watch for a while, but every piece of software, every system, whether it's Apple or Samsung or Android or Google, will have some form of voice assistant, Alexa as well. And so what I do is I use Siri. I have to say her name very quietly just in case they respond. I use Siri, didn't respond, to be able to capture tasks or ideas. So particularly useful for when I'm out on a run. I think you will have to have a mobile phone plan with your watch for this to work, although don't quote me on that. You might not need to. And I'll say to Siri to remind me to do something when I get home. That's the most useful one, because you can say, Siri, remind me when I get home to email this, do this, whatever, and they'll remember. And then when I get home, I'll get an alert notified. I even know myself to stop running in the street and open my voice notes app on my watch and take notes and throw out ideas of whatever I've been thinking about. So important for you to be able to capture that in the moment, unless you've got an amazing brain the way you remember stuff. I certainly don't. So 5 systems: finance, sales, time management, task management, and ideas management. As I've said before, there are lots of other systems and automations that you can do out there and that people will be telling you to do. But those are my 5 systems that, as an entrepreneur of 18 years, suggests very strongly, to the point where I almost saying, do it, to have these installed in your business. It will help you sleep at night. It will help you plan better. You'll be guru level of business ownership entrepreneur. Trust me. So have a think about how you're going to implement them. Take your time. Those are 5 systems that you're not going to be necessarily be able to do overnight. I would definitely start with those pretty much in order, actually: finance, sales, time, task, ideas. Play around with it. Don't beat yourself up. Don't give yourself a hard time. And yeah, good luck with it all.